ahead and fill this do now in on the next page in your notebook. Then pause this video so you have time to work it out. Once everyone has a chance to do the problem, you're going to go ahead and push play so that you can hear the explanation. For this first one, again, we already know our center is at -6, 1, so that is, if I fill in our area formula, or our circle formula here, that is our h and our k. So all we still need to find is your radius. If you are given a point on the circle and the center, to find the radius, you are going to use your distance formula. So we are going to do that r equals the square root of, you're going to do -6 minus -17 squared plus 1 minus 2 squared. And again, you can flip-flop the ones inside your parentheses. What you should get, -6 minus 17 is 11, so this is 121 when you square it, plus 1 minus 2 is -1, squared is 1. So my r is the square root of 121. Remember, this really just means that r squared, 122, not 121. R squared is 122, which is what's in our formula. You can always just pull this number, or you can square this in your calculator. Either is fine. But to get our final answer, it's going to be x minus -6 makes it a plus y minus 1 squared equals 122. And you're done. On this one, we already have our center, we know our h and k, so we just need to find our r. What you need to remember is that area is equal to pi r squared. So I can set 9 pi equal to pi r squared. Well, what we talked about last time is those pi's really just cancel, so you know your r squared equals 9. Again, since r squared's in the formula, you don't have to keep going. If you want to, you can figure out that, hey, r equals 3 when you square root those. That's perfectly fine. But for your actual equation, you don't need that. When I go to fill this in then, it's going to be x plus 6 squared plus y plus 16 squared equals 9, and you are done. We're going to go over your homework answers when I get back next time. If you guys have any questions, feel free to take a minute to pause the video and talk about it together as a class, and then keep going with the notes. Do turn in your notes today so that I can stamp them for you. So all homework should be turned in. Sorry, not notes. Turn in all your homework today. Fill in this title. Today we're going to apply these to different problems. This is your last day of notes of this section. So we will review next class and then test next week. Take a minute to write this one down, and then unpause the video when you're ready to talk about it. To write an equation for this, it's going to be similar to before, so we are still just plugging into our x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay? The center of your area is going to be the pizza place because that's where you drew your radius around. So those are my h and k, so I already can just fill in x minus 5 squared plus y minus 1 squared. Your radius is 6 miles, so this is equal to 36. So if we graphed this, it would give us an image of what the delivery region actually looks like. If you want to figure out if they will deliver to you, you can do it a couple of different ways. One thing you can do is just figure out the distance from you to the pizza place and see if that is within their radius of 6. So if we do it that way, you're figuring out the radius between you and the delivery place, the distance. You're going to plug this in, so -2 minus 5 squared plus 7 minus 1 squared gives me -2 minus 5 is 7. 7 squared is 49. 7 minus 1 is 6. Squared is 36. So that tells me that I am 9.2 miles away from the delivery place. If their radius is 6 miles, then no, they will not deliver to me. Again, go ahead and write this one down, and then we're going to talk through it together. Okay, so you start out with one circle, and this one circle, if we need a picture, has a diameter, so all the way across, of 16. Okay, we can find the area of this circle. We could technically find the area, circumference, everything we want. So if we want to find the area of circle 1, so that little 1 just means I'm talking about this one since there's 2 circles here. That area would be pi times the radius squared. Well, the diameter is 16, so the radius is 8, which means that the area of this circle is 64 pi. What we know then is that the area of the new circle, I took this circle and I stretched it to be 4 times bigger. That doesn't mean the radius is 4 times bigger, it means the area is. The area of my new circle is 64 pi times 4, or 256 pi. Okay, and the area of this then lets us find out the actual radius. So what we did earlier, remember, is that we set pi r squared equal to our radius, the 256 pi, and we can solve for the radius of this circle. What you remember, you can divide both sides by pi. So your radius squared is 256. When you square root that, you get a radius of 16 inches. Okay, so what you'll notice here, the radius is only twice as long as the radius of the original one, but the area ends up being 4 times bigger. So they're not going to be directly proportional in the way we normally think of it. It is 4 times larger in area, and the radius itself is twice as big. This one's going to be very similar, so go ahead and write that down. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about it. If you start with the circumference, again, we want to start out by finding really the radius here. So my circumference of circle 1 is 20 pi. If we set that equal to 2 pi r, because that is your circumference formula, dividing by pi gets you that 2 times your radius is 20. Dividing by 2, your radius of your initial shape is 10. Okay, then going from there, again, we're talking about area. The new circle has an area that is 3 times bigger than the original. So we need to find the area of the original to be able to keep going. So the area is pi times 10 squared, or 100 pi. Okay, once we know that, area of circle 1 is 100 pi. So area of circle 2, 100 times 3, is 300 pi. Again, they want the radius, so we're going to do a very similar problem to what we did before. Pi r squared equals 300 pi. Tells you that r squared is 300. When you square root both sides, your r is 17.3. And there's no units, so we won't have to label it. Okay, again, feel free to pause this or rewind if you need to, if you missed anything. Make sure that you have all of that written down in your notes. Go ahead and make sure you have this written down, and then we're going to talk this one through. Here's our original equation, and then we are moving our circle. So what we need to do is say, okay, if this was my original circle, my center originally is at -8, +2. Again, going from our formula before, this is always your h, this is always your k, and you switch both sides. Then we moved the circle, so we moved it left 3. If you go left 3 from -8, that means you're going further negative. So my new center is going to be at -11. If you go up 2, or up 6, I apologize, from 2, you're going to end up going to bigger numbers, so it is at -11.8. So your new center is at -11.8. Nothing else happened, it doesn't tell me it was stretched or anything like that, so I know my radius stays the same. So I'm going to fill in my equation from this. So it's going to be x plus 11 squared plus y minus 8 squared equals 49, and you're done. This is the last example we're going to do, so go ahead and write this one down. This one's very similar, but a slight change. Okay, we're still given a formula, just like last time. However, this time we are not told it's moved left, right, up, and down. We are told it's stretched. So this is similar to the problems we did a minute ago. What we're going to do is use our radius this time then instead of our center, because that's what's changed. It's not moved left, right, up, or down. The radius itself is what's changed. So my r squared equals 100. in my original shape, which means my original radius is really just 10. Okay, when you square both sides. Again, it's talking about area, so I need to find the area of this original figure. Remember, that's pi r squared. So the area of my original shape, plugging in my 10, is 100 pi. This area is what is stretched, so my area 2, 100 pi times 5 is 500 pi. And just like before, we're going to solve for that radius. So again, I'm going to set it equal to pi r squared. Dividing by pi on both sides, you get r squared equals 500. And remember here, since we're writing the equation, you can stop here, but we'll show you if you square root 500, your radius is 22.36. Okay, but keep in mind what it's asking for. It wants the equation of the circle, and right now I can do that. We did not change any of this information. It didn't move left, right, up, or down this time. If it had, you would do exactly what we did on the last slide. But now, instead of being equal to 100, it is equal to 500. And that is your equation of this new circle. Okay, again, I will upload this video to Canvas. You are welcome to pause, rewind, rewatch, whatever you need to. And then you have the rest of the hour to work on your homework.